My name is Raymond. Hi, everyone. My name is Raymond DiMalanta or rcdimalanta, and I'm a swing trader. And basically, I haven't uploaded in such a long time, but this channel, I guess, is now going to just serve as my monthly video journal. So I think that's like the biggest thing uh, coming into 2026. And for those who don't know, I've been kind of uh, been in trading for about 6 years now. Transitioning out from registered nursing into trading, and been really good at the same time, but also a lot of things that I've learned, and it's just been a crazy journey from starting from nothing. Literally, I mean, I did have some experience with it for sure, but just that was just investing, and then I really got into like trading after meeting with a friend. Um, this is like back in like 2013 ish, I think. And then, failed at day trading, came back, and then um, in as an investor. And then 2019 rolls all around, and I'm just like thinking about like, what do I do with my life? Or like, what is it that I want to achieve? And unfortunately, like nursing is great, but it just wasn't providing me or providing me with the pathway of what I really want to do. And I started just reading books and then started, paper trading, doing stuff with all that stuff. Fast forward is 2020, now it's 2026. It's crazy to say that now. Um, and I am hoping for a really good year now. And we'll see how things go. For those who don't know, I have already left nursing and plan to pick up a like per diem just to help with things. There's just a lot of things in trading that's like nuances that you don't really know until you go through it. And I think that's like one of those areas now where 2025 was like building in failure. But as you're building in failure, you figure things out and then you're pushing forward as well. So here I have like a couple things that I just wanted to go over for myself. And this is kind of like things to just remember, right? One of the biggest things is that greed is such a crazy, crazy like feeling. Like that there's euphoria and then there's greed. And I believe like for my weakness, I suffer the most from this. And it's kind of built into my system in a sense where um I want the most bang for my buck at the same time. But because I take really big positions with like less than 2 to 3% risk, or sometimes even way less than that, even like 1%, 1.5%, or even point zero or 0.5% of risk. Um, as a like in terms of ADR and stop loss, right? That's basically like how crazy I do my positioning, and sometimes like that is not a good thing to be doing. Um, but it has served me really, really well in growing my account from before. But just knowing how that affects me day to day basis and drawdowns and stuff like that, I'm able to kind of really put things into perspective. But because greed, when I'm building a position and say like I'm getting like, 5, 10, 20,000 shares of something, and I'm working it up and then not taking profits along the way because I'm trying to use those profits to kind of build the position. And like say like if I take 5,000 shares one day, um, and then the next day I can I'm up on the position, I'll take another 2,500 shares or something like that, and risk and then get to like break even at that point. But because the ADR and the ATR of the stock itself kind of pushes it and whipsaws me, then I get stopped out and such as that. So like pyramiding is something that I'm working with, but I realized too that it's better to just keep the position and then cut it and then look for a re-entry on that. Because at least at that point I'm at trying to basically get a lot of those R's or stack the R's before, being able to go back in again and letting the stock set up and prove itself so that I can go back in. So that's one of the things that like I started to realize, and treating it as a business, taking profits here and there is super, super important. So one of the things I just implemented for myself is like after like 4R or something like that, 4 or 5R, any positions after 4R, they need to be cut. Sometimes like I'll get to like 6 or 8 or even 10R on a position, and then it's important to just cut and just let the rest ride. And I think that's super super important. Um, but now one of those things is that like when there's like a big correction, you're being late in the cycle. I mean, I don't think I had that. I'm. I don't think I had that big of a buffer, and I think that's a very very important part. Um, I made like 96R or $96,000 from September to October, and then started to draw down a little bit in November and December. Obviously, for these last 2 months are pretty crazy. So I just had to kind of think about a lot of things, and that was part of my process where I was like, okay, well, you know, if you're living off, even if you make like $96,000, if half of that or a third of that goes to taxes, a third of that becomes living expenses, and a third of that is to grow your account. Well, if the win rates around for my year this year was about 30%, you can see like that drawdown can get pretty nasty here and there. But also too understanding like when you need to trade and when not to trade, and I think that's part of the areas where I'm starting to realize now, going forward. Um, so I don't think I think building a bigger cushion is something that I definitely need to do, and like living off the account itself is great, but at the same time, like it really minimizes the amount of like compounding that you can do with the account, and that's super super important. Um, I think also too like positioning with a base and going through all these, right? When a stock is starting to break out, but has a breakout of a range on the rising 10 and 20 SMA, I think that's one of those things where like either you're buying a pullback and to go to the top bullet here to the stops in the ADR and ATR and filtering, like you have to determine like if the stock is breaking out and say it has a relative strength stock and it provides you an opportunity to get in. And I think being able to understand if that's a really good stock to kind of play, because the fact is that like one, if it's like if it kind of squats a little bit and it gives you that entry, yeah, there's a position that you can get, especially if it kind of like it goes like red to green, and I think that's those you don't know that at the time, but like it kind of gives you an area of like, okay, well, this is the probability that if this has like the strongest stock on relative strength, I mean, you're buying it. I think that's like kind of where you want things to go. So just my thoughts on that. Anyway, so that's kind of how I think going into 2026, I'll kind of play some of these breakout stocks, is that the pullbacks to those pullbacks to that range, and then being able to get in and take a position, because sometimes like these leaders, you don't know exactly how long they can run for, and I think that's super super important going forward. Is watch them, watch the sector, watch the theme, what's going on, and you know uh just yeah, be more involved in that process of trying to find those leaders and playing them. Um, one of those things is better at risk, and I think being better at risk is staying consistent with the risk with 1R. I kind of went from like 1 to 2R each time, and I think like that also kind of messed me up. Um, because like some of these stocks, you shouldn't be sizing on them, especially when you have like the environment, which is the next bullet point, right? Filtering stocks and environment. If the stock is not in your environment and momentum is not in play, then I don't think press the gas isn't going to do anything. That's like pressing the gas in traffic. You're not going to get anywhere, right? But if you're pressing the gas in a freeway, then that kind of helps out, and I think that's super super important going forward. Um, I think going forward too, when for my system, like needing to respect the 21 SMA more, and if it mabs, like me moving out of violation, uh, need to respect that trailing more and let things play out instead of trying to pyramid for a very big move that never comes. So twice, and I'll go over this later on, is that, like, I played Tesla, like, twice. And I pretty much on 2 different occasions, December and I think September. Yeah, I was up probably, like, 40R in September. I mean, October. From September to October, I was up 40R just on that ticker alone on a Tesla or TSLL. And I took home, uh, after partialing, I took home around 15, 20, but I was up 40 on the remaining position. Okay. On the remaining position, I took home 2 after that, going from 40 to 2. So think about that. How does that work? And, pyramided wrong, and I should have just, got out of the stock and kind of get a clean head after that. But whatever. Same thing happens in December where I'm up like 15, 16K, or sorry, 15, 16R. Ah, damn it. And, things happen like that. So just thoughts there of like, need to, that part, well, I would say this end part is a different story because like that's just market weakness. Like the market wasn't really trending before in September, the market was trending. So I have to say that like, probably should have thought about the market environment more on December, and that kind of probably would have done a lot more. But anyways, it is what it is. But yeah, I think just staying consistent with time frames. I know I used to like, buy on a 5-minute time frame, and I think now I have a better understanding of what I need to do going forward. Either it be like on confirmation on the 30-minute or 5-minute. It is what it is, but determining risk on that area, especially when thinking about basing, I think that's one area that is really important to think about. So, if you're trading, I think you just have to have that system in terms of what you're going to do. So either you're buying on the 5-minute confirmation or 30-minute confirmation. One fails more than the other, like Kula McGee says, or Christian Kula McGee. 5 minutes definitely fail faster than the 30 minutes. So it depends on what you want to do. And I kind of like the 30-minute, but we'll see what 2026 brings. But yeah. Some of these things I think now, like going into the charts, these are some of the, IRIN, RGTI, TSLL, NNE, Open, Rocket Lab, Robin, EOS, Wolf, RDTL, U, Rocket, Roblox, ASST. I had some other ones, but like, these are like the ones that kind of made me a good amount of money throughout the year. But let's go into it. So, these are my losers, but so I think here, this is EOS. And I'll show you kind of like what I was thinking about when I was actually buying this is that, there's a very huge like stage 1 base here, right? I want to say it's stage 2 yet, but it's definitely stage 1 in a sense where like, you're kind of looking at this area here, and it kind of put in like a very tight range. So it's September-ish. September is like, August is like horrible, right? And I bought it on 826 anyways, just because like this range here was super, super tight. And just being able to buy that. I also bought this on my small account. I bought it here and I put the low, my invalidation point right here. But yeah, I bought this for this account. I think I took home around like 20 something R on this. I don't think I had enough size, but I think definitely feel like I should have bought this because bought more of this since it had such a big base. But that's one of the best trades that I had of the year. ASST back when it was right here. This was like a 2 or 3 day move, but it was pretty nice because the fact is that like I scaled pretty hard. I think it's the 11s or 13s after I bought it here in like the 680 area, and that was a pretty good move. I didn't trail this one only because the fact is that like when you're buying and it's that this extended out, I don't feel like you should be taking a lot. Open, I bought this twice in 2 different areas, and I feel like I should have had like, partial probably put a body right here too. Like these are like I missed this because I don't have anything on my scanners for anything less than like $5, and this was like a picture perfect. You have such a big range, and you even have a cheat right here. So just in general, like how um, what to do. Um, at the same time, I think I played this a couple times, but these were the two main buys, and I think I scaled out on this candle, and then the rest I just held and trailed, and yeah, stopped out. I think around here again. Still, um, I thought that was important. Or I think that was important. Like, yeah, I stopped out here. Probably shouldn't have, but it is what it is. Could have done better. NTPLF, which is Metaplanet, back in May-ish, I bought it twice here. I bought it once right here, and I had a pretty good size on this actually. When I think about how much size I had, that was a pretty good amount of size. Anyways, I sold majority here on this candle. No, sorry, not this candle, but this candle. So I sold majority here, and then it bounced in. I bought again right here on the break of this like trend line or like trend line break, and I rode this up here. And this is one of the biggest blunders too, because I actually, this is so stupid of me, but like I didn't realize it at the time because just greed is so crazy. So I had, I think 10 to 15,000 shares in this range right here. Like I added and I pyramided and I added again on this day, right? So I was like, okay, I'll use the stop of this as my point. And it gaps up and gaps up and gaps up, right? And I literally, I'm not even joking you. I actually round trip this whole trade, and I was thinking to myself, like, why did I do that? But at the time when you are thinking that, like, Bitcoin is going crazy and stuff like that, like you get into that euphoria, like, oh, it's gonna go amazing, and eventually, yeah, I round trip the trade, and it is what it is. Like, I feel like that was like the biggest blunder because, like, man, I think this was like 50R. I was up 50R on this trade at this point, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, oh yeah, like I got this. But yeah, it didn't. But at the same time, like, I had a really good gain in it, and things are like 89R or something like that initially, so it's pretty good. RUTI, I bought it on this day with the stop at this point right here. This is what I'm talking about in the base. Like you can see the base right here. So obviously there's areas here where you can think I actually sold it because I was pretty heavy in this at the first on this day. Second day, I'm already up like 10R, so I sold half already just to cover myself, and I rode this all the way to here. Obviously, yeah, I went to 57, whatever it is, in the crypto crash on 1010. Like this thing didn't do anything. But yeah, I sold it here. I sold it here at the very bottom of this candle. That's just what it is. I think I did sell a little bit here, but for the most part, yeah, I did sell majority of my position here. TSLL, I was levered to the tits, literally, on this stock. I bought this so many times. There was one time where I actually pyramided down here, and I was up like 10R, and I round tripped the whole trade again. That's like what I was talking about, like when you pyramid to a stock, don't take profits, and then all of a sudden like that happens again. Same thing here on this side too, and then on this one I was like, I'm done pyramiding, and then I sold a good portion here, got greedy, and I bought more in this area, right? Went on vacation and set the stop to like almost break even at like 17 something, and then eventually went on the cruise ship. It just like takes me out. That was the 40R blunder on this stock, just from me being stupid and pyramiding into this when I shouldn't. I should have just literally just kept my profits and not like add into this at all. Just knowing that the fact that this range right here is like dead. Like that's just crazy, right? Same thing here, but this one is a little bit better because I actually took profits on this candle at 2060, and then it gaps down the next day, and then I add again on this day, and I think I was up like I had like 4 or 5 thousand shares in here. I took some profits on this candle at like 20 something again, and then to cover, and then I just walked it all the way back down to not break even, but like a 2R. And because my cost base was like 1860, I think. And so like I think that was like a really good move for me, just because like look at what happened, right? MSTU, I bought this so many times. I even bought it right here, like right here on this. So, oh wow, I didn't even know that did they reverse split. Oh, they did reverse split. Oh shoot, that's crazy. This used to be like $5. Anyway, so yeah, I bought it here. I bought it here, let it go like a dumbass, and then I bought it here again, and then I just chopped myself up like 4 or 5R, literally. And so like this was like a pretty good gain that became like break even eventually. Iron, I have so many. I have so many. I have so many spots here that I bought. So I bought here, round tripped it, bought here again, get stopped out here. When I had, I think 4,000 shares, and I was up like 12R here, right? 12R, and I didn't take profits. And this is what I'm talking about. Like that like kills you mentally, because you're like, dude, I just had 12R. Like, what happened, right? I took home 2 from this, but like still, like when you're up, like you could have had way more, right? That's like the whole point of this, right? Anyways, I sold a majority here at 61 something, just because of the fact is that like I sold a good portion. I bought it here on this day, on this inside day. It came back up. I sold here a little bit, and for some dumb reason I just sold some of it here, and then I trailed the rest to this. Like I had a pretty good gain, but like still, like it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Rocket Lab here, bought here. I think I tried to add here, and then eventually at 60, I just let this go because I was like, there's no way. Rocket, bought this right here, and then the rest of it, I let it stop me out here at this area because I was like, that's part of my system. That's just what you do. But you look at this, like there's no trend on this. Like I don't even know why I was like so heavy in that. Whatever. And then E, pretty good. I bought this here around like the 41 areas. It goes literally to 60 in the next like 2 days. But realistically, the buy should have been here. And I think like now that I see it, it's like, yeah, I should definitely have been a little bit more into that. So because buying it here at 39 and going here, that's 50% in like 2 days or 3 days. That's pretty good. So I was okay, so the first part is this is what I'm talking about. This candle right here. I remember I was in Discord talking to one of my trader buddies, and I was just like, dude, this looks like the most bread and butter setup. If this goes, I want to be in this. But guess what? I was working. I was working, and it didn't work out. It just it didn't work out, and I never got in after that. I don't know what I was thinking. I just felt like I was, blaming myself for like other reasons when I should have really just kind of, done this. And this is what I'm talking about. Like the ADR, the stock is like 4.26, right? And the ATR is 2.0. But if you had just bought here, like set it here and buy here, like you're way below all that. And I would have been able to like ride this going forward, and it would have been totally fine. And I probably would have sold half here or something like that, and then ride the rest. But the thing is, I also too, I wasn't really in my A game during this time. I bought it here eventually, and then my dumbass, I was putting in a different order, and I sold it at 41, and this thing goes to like 51, and I was just thinking to myself like, oh my god, what are the chances of that happening? Well, it is what it is. Like whatever, who cares? RDTL, I got super lucky on this one only because I didn't know that this exact day was earnings, or the next day, right? It breaks out, and I'm using RDTL, okay? Not Reddit, I'm using RDTL. I bought this opening range. I bought this rig. I put my stop, and I was just thinking to myself like, "Oh, cool." And then like after I get home from work, I'm like, why does it feel like it's stalling? Like, why is like, I mean, it broke range. There's there's volume, but like, why does it feel like what's going on? Find out there's earnings, and I'm like shitting myself because I'm just like, oh, this is like the one thing you don't like get a position before earnings. You wait till after the position, right? My lucky ass literally caught a really good R from here to here. And I sold some and I trailed some, bought it again back here, and then sold it the next day, right? Here at squats. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, damn. And then I watch it go. And when I should have just held it because literally the stock was doing fine. There's literally nothing wrong with the stock. It just squatted, but yeah. I sold it on this day for like 5R and then I broke myself even like a dumbass here. And then I just watched it go. And yeah. But those are like my biggest winners for this year, for last year. And I think that's in general, like, going forward, there's going to be way more things to do and to focus on. And I know exactly how I want to improve. And um, yeah, we'll just see how, 2026 goes. But that's kind of what's going on. Some of the losers that I have to say, I like Wolf was actually a really big winner for me. Um, I actually had bought 10,000 shares here at this level on at the earnings day. There was earnings before, like before the market opened. I bought 10,000 shares here, and then like for some reason I don't know what happened, but like my stop was like way too tight, and what ends up happening, it stops me out. 10,000 shares. If I had got that 10,000 shares at that time, this would have been a really fat winner for me. Imagine going from the fives to like 17, 17. And if I followed my system, right? If I followed my system, I would have stopped out here. I definitely would have stopped out here or here in this area, right? So you're talking about like 70K or sorry, 70R. Um, but yeah, another loser for myself was this one. I built into the base because of the rising 10 and 20. Um, I pulled my stops like a dumbass, and there was like -6R because I was just like, I held this. I don't even know why. I don't even know why. I can't even. During that time, oh my gosh, like I understand why, but like my mind was so tied to money during this time that like you know these things happen, and it is what it is. Same thing with ibit. Biggest thing I bought, I think I was like 256 contracts in ibit with the iv the iv of this was like super dumb low, and I think I had unrealized profits of like 26R, and it didn't scale out, right? Didn't scale out. Should have scaled out. Didn't scale out. Watched it go negative on me to like -9R. So up 26. So think about this: 26. You're up 26R, and you let this shit go -9R. And in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't even know. Shit's hella funny though. Just like thinking about, like, dude, what the fuck? I talked about this already, and then Coney, my dumbass here. I always like I love the dividend income. I thought coin was like gonna make a fat ass move, and which it was. It was, dude. Because coin, if you looked at the chart, like this is disgustingly amazing. Makes a huge ass move, pulls back, and it's just right there. And I didn't fucking and like yeah. Anyways, don't even want to talk about this shit because that was like fucking heartbreaking. But yeah. Oh, I love trading. Um, but yeah, I you know this is my yearly monthly or monthly recap, yearly recap, but monthly review. So I think 2025 was a fucking blast. Like learned a lot, like took some dumbass losses, but made some really good fucking money. But dude, shit is crazy, homie. Oh my gosh, dude, I fucking love it. Um, But yeah, the goal going forward is, full-time momentum swing trader. And yeah, I hope to see people in here. But ask questions if anything. But this is really just for me. So um if anything, I just want to document my journey. And if it comes across, you like content or like my content, and just want to talk, definitely leave a comment, like and subscribe, do what you need to do. But yeah, this is just for me, dude. Anyways, thank you guys if you're watching or if you even got this far. I wish you the luck, and I wish you a lot of luck, or in good market for us in 2026. All right, man. Take care. Peace.